Hi, and today's question is, how do I prevent my 10-week-old puppy from digging? I've got a 10-week-old puppy and I want to stop him from digging out in the garden. What is the best way of doing it? So one of the great things here is you've got a 10-week-old puppy, so you've got a blank slate. The dog hasn't started digging, the dog hasn't formed a habit. So if you get onto training now and you do it correctly, you'll have a dog that won't dig for the life. So there are two things to consider: whether you want the dog to have access and be able to dig in clearly defined areas, or you want the dog not digging at all. If you don't want the digging at all, simply make sure the dog never has access to outside without 100% supervision. At the start, I would tether the dog, or at the very least have the dog on a lead every time you go out that door. And then you simply use a double tap on the tether or the lead when the dog goes to dig, and use a correction sound, something like ah, nice, sharp and clear, so the dog understands that that is no. That it's not allowed to do that behaviour. You can continue this not only to digging, but pulling on plants, chewing plants, furniture, or anything else outside, for all outside behaviours. The dog gets no access, free access at all. When the dog has started to prove itself down the line, then it can come off the tether but be 100% supervised. So I'd use a combination of tether and 100% supervision. If the dog starts digging or misbehaving, it goes straight back on the tether and loses any free time. As the dog proves that it's behaving itself, it gets more time off the tether and more time under 100% supervision. When the dog has proven itself 100% under supervision, then you start to come inside and leave the dog outside just for 5 minutes at a time, and then it's supervised, and then 10 minutes at a time and it's supervised. Keep increasing that. Don't go from point A to point D because your dog will dig. So don't go from let it off the tether, full access in the yard because it hasn't dug, and leave the dog there, because you'll come back and the dog will have started digging and the habit begins to form. And you just keep doing it that way. If you want the dog to have the ability to dig, then provide it with a clearly defined space for it to dig. Build a sand pit, provide a clamshell or a kiddie's pool, fill those with sand and soil, put some bones and toys in there, get in there with your dog, on tether, on lead, everything else is exactly the same as before. Teach the dog that it can dig in those areas and find some toys and do all those things in those areas. But the same rules apply on a tether or on a lead all the time until it proves itself, slowly with a little bit of time off, supervised, and increase that just like we did when we didn't want any digging. Hope that helps.